today we are going to make some fun food together. It's gonna have lots of tortillas, it's gonna have lots of fruit, it's gonna be great, all right? And before we even get started cooking, we wanna make sure that we have a nice clean surface, all right? We wanna make sure we have nice clean hands. We wanna make sure all the stuff we're gonna be using is nice and clean. It's very helpful to have a fire extinguisher nearby if you don't have one at home. You can pick up pretty small ones that are great for home kitchens. When I first moved into my first apartment, my mom gave me a small fire extinguisher for my kitchen, and I never had to use it, but it was really nice that it was there. All right, so the first thing that we are going to make is a tortilla pizza. Maybe you've done this before, maybe you have not. It's very nice to do, to make these for one person or to make it for the whole family, and everybody gets to choose what goes on there, right? So first we have our tortilla on our clean surface, and we have some tomato sauce. You can pick whichever kind you like. The less liquidy the better, just so that it doesn't get all over the place while you're cooking it, because it can kind of leak off. And sometimes when you get tortillas, there's one way that the edges curl down, and then if you flip it, the edges curl up. If you put it down with the edges curled up, it'll help it not leak anywhere, which is amazing. All right. You don't want to put too much sauce on. It feels like I put a lot on right now, but when you spread it out, it's not going to be too thick. You want to be able to kind of see the tortilla, otherwise it's just going to sloop off while you're cooking it. All right. You don't have to go all the way to the edges too, because it'll kind of settle and even out as it's cooking. And I'm going to use some cheese. You can use whatever you want. You can grate your own cheese, obviously, if you want to. I like a lot of cheese, so I'm going to put quite a bit of cheese on here. There we go. And you can add whatever other toppings you want. If you're going to use any meat toppings, you probably want to, or you do want to cook it beforehand, because it's not going to cook enough in the oven. So, oh, and I forgot to tell you, you want to preheat your oven to 400 degrees. This is about when I remember to preheat my own oven, so it's pretty lifelike for you. All right, and this is just chopped green peppers, one of my favorite pizza toppings because it makes things nice and crispy. So I'm just gonna put these around. Very fun. I like to make sure each slice has a few pieces on it, all right? And my hands are clean, remember, I'm touching all the food. And then mushrooms are another one of my favorite toppings. So I cut these, but they should really be smaller. This is a small pizza. Whoa, I threw a piece on there. Let me break you up. All right, and then you can put it on your baking sheet and put it in the oven, which is at 400 degrees, and you put it in for, let me make sure I'm telling you the right thing, 8 minutes. And you can put a few of them on it at a time. And it's a good idea to either have a non-stick pan, or if you don't have a non-stick pan, put some tin foil underneath of it so that then it's not stuck. All right, and let me get this one out of the way. Ta-da! It's better if you make it on there, but to show you, I didn't want to. And then when you're done, this is what your beautiful pizza will look like, right? And then you just pizza cut it like normal, and you have some amazing pizza. Where should I put this? Here we go. I'll put it under here. All right. So that is a tortilla pizza. And remember, if you're using the oven or anything, you want to make sure that you fully know how to use it. If you're younger, you want to make sure that the adults are there, all right? Make sure that you're only doing the stuff that you're allowed to do in the kitchen, okay? And next we're gonna make taquitos, one of my favorite words to say, and one of my favorite things to make. So we're gonna have a tortilla again, many tortillas, this is a good day. And the tortillas come in all different sizes, so you can kind of pick whichever one you think is gonna work best. And you can put whatever you want in your taquitos. Some just have cheese, some have meat and cheese. I like to put a little bit of sauce in there, just a little bit, not a ton. And remember, as it cooks, it's gonna kind of bubble outwards, yeah? I'm gonna put my cheese in. You wanna put the stuff at the end, all right? Because you're gonna roll it into the taquito. and the cheese is gonna kind of melt out too, so you don't have to put a ton of that in there. And you can put your other toppings in there too. Again, if you're gonna use meat, you wanna cook the meat ahead of time because it's not gonna be in the oven long enough to cook it. There we go, that's enough Crispies. All right, now I am not very good at rolling these tightly. I like to kind of fold it on itself first and then kind of roll these in and try to make it nice and tight. It doesn't all have to be in the middle. It can kind of be in the taquito as it's rolled. So that's as tight as I can get my taquitos. Maybe you can get them tighter. And I always like to put in a toothpick so that they don't unroll. And then you just put it on in a pan and you can cook it at 450 degrees for 10 minutes. Should have warned you to preheat the oven, but I'm sure you figured that out. All right. So having the toothpick in there is very helpful so it doesn't pop open, because even if you put it on the bottom, it sometimes rolls while you're putting it in. And when you are done, where are you guys? There we go. This is what they look like, 450 for 10 minutes. That's what I told you, right? And just pull out your toothpick and don't eat it with the toothpick in it. And then when you break it open, I don't know if you can see that, but you have some nice food inside of it. All right. If you like them a little crispier, you can cook them a little bit longer. If you want them less crispy, you can cook them a little less, whatever makes you happy. All right. And that's fun because you can kind of hold it and eat it, and I don't know. I like taquitos in general. All right. Now, oh, also, sorry, your taquitos, you can dip them in sour cream, you can dip them in salsa. Some people like to put a little salt in them or a little chili powder. Some people like to put a little lime juice in them. So however you normally make tacos, probably you can go ahead and do it like that and then just put a little in and roll it up, all right? It's like tacos to go, less messy, right? All right, and now we are going to do quesadillas. So, again, we have our tortillas, because you know me. You can put whatever you want in your quesadillas. Basically, if you master one of these, then you are going to have mastered all of these. And you spread it around. I'm going to put my cheese in. I don't usually put sauce in quesadillas. It's not really my jam. All right, and then you don't want to do too close to the side because it's going to melt out. All right, and that could make a mess. But it's not a big deal if it does melt out a little bit. And I'm going to put my Crispies in here. Again, if you put meat on it, make sure the meat is cooked ahead of time. All right. And I could put mushrooms. I'll skip the mushrooms. All right. You put your other tortilla on top. These two are not the same size, even though they came from the same pack. So maybe make sure that they're going to be the same size, but it's not a big deal. I could have put it, I should have checked ahead of time and put it on the smaller one on the bottom, I guess, but whatever, it's working out. All right, so then you can put this in a pan and then cook it on the stove top on medium, and then once it's brown, then you can flip it over, because that means everything's melted enough. You can decide how crispy you want things, but you know, good times. And move you there. And this is my quesadilla. I have a problem where it gets a little too hot toward the end of the one side, and then when I flip it over, it gets slightly tinged over here, but the bottom's all right, so that's okay. All right, so quesadillas. Quesadillas are really nice, and it's nice that you can make them on the stovetop. I lived in a one-room apartment for a little while, and it did not have a kitchen, so I got a little plug-in burner, and then I could still make quesadillas, which was amazing. And if you put the meat and everything into it, then you're getting all your protein and all that. You're getting protein from the cheese, but not a full meal's worth. But the more other stuff you put in, all the more vegetables and stuff, then the more of a meal it becomes, all right? And then you can eat it nice and warm. And again, make sure that you are okay to use the stovetop. And that's all of the tortilla stuff. Now, parfaits are one of my favorite things to eat. I have a little container, you can probably tell where I got it from. It's a reused container. And you just get some yogurt. Plain yogurt isn't my jam. Some people really like it. It's not my favorite. I usually use vanilla yogurt or maybe a strawberry or blueberry yogurt. You can just throw it in and then get some fruit of your choice and throw it in. Hello, blueberries. And then you just keep layering pretty and it's also good because then you can mix it and it'll be perfect. Let's put some strawberries in. Strawberries are fun. And I cut a lot of them. All right. My hands are clean, remember. This would be disgusting if my hands were not clean. And here we go. I'm gonna put this layer of yogurt in, and I want to make sure there's some room on the top because I want to have room for my granola. Granola is good. You can get granola in giant bags. For some reason I used to think granola was really hard to deal with, but it's not. And you can get ones that have big chunks, ones that have tiny chunks, that type of thing. So then you can just carry this around. If you're gonna like take it to school or wherever you're going, then you can just put the granola in a separate container and it stays nice and crispy, and then you pour them in together and you can mix them and it's great. And I made another one earlier. The yogurt kind of settles so you can't see the fruit as much, but you know it's there. And the fruit doesn't really get mushy because of the yogurt. All right. Thank you, granola. All right. Move you guys over here. Goodbye, yogurt. And what else is there? Taquitos, quesadillas, parfaits, fruit salad. How could I forget? Oh my goodness. I know fruit salad isn't super technical to make, but sometimes I forget fruit salad is an option, so I just wanted to bring it up to you. We are not going to use the mushrooms and the green peppers for the fruit salad. Let's put them over here so I don't accidentally throw them in. All right, so we have all these blueberries. Pour it in. We have all these strawberries. Pour it in. And if you have multiple people doing this, then you can have somebody cut each thing, and it works out really nicely. This is a plum cut up. Looks kind of weird, right? I forgot that plums had pits until I was cutting it up today. So that was a fun experience, remembering that. But they're very juicy and nice. I had the best plum of my life, and it was burned into my memory. It was a super hot summer day, and I'd been running around, and I was super tired and super thirsty and super hot because it was over 100 degrees out, and I bit into this plum, and it was amazing. I remember it was sometime in July in 2002. That's how much it impressed me that I know that it was definitely that year. All right, and we also have our pears. I'm not good at picking out pears that are ripe, so good luck with that. I feel like the more messed up they are, usually the better they are. And then grapes, whichever grapes you like. All right, I know this is super fun to watch, I know. Somebody can, if you have lots of people doing it, picking the grapes off of the vines are a nice, easy job. And getting super fancy here, some blackberries. And you can plant blackberry bushes in your yard if you have a yard. It's super easy to grow them. And then, the deer are gonna really like it and all the other animals are gonna really like it. But then you have a blueberry bush, or a blackberry bush that you can go to all the time. And kiwi, people don't usually think about. This is one kiwi worth, so it's not a ton of stuff. But people usually forget that you can eat kiwis pretty easily if you just cut it in half and then you take a spoon and you can scoop it out. That's what I did for this, and then I sliced it, but I used to just scoop it out with a spoon and eat it. Because that was nice. Oh, they're so tangy. That puts a nice tang in here too. And then, last but not least, apples. There's so many different kinds of apples. There are hard apples, soft apples, sweet apples, not bitter apples, tart apples, that's the word. So you can put a bunch of different kinds of apples in there. And technically you can eat the apple core. Sometimes I forget about that. My dad used to eat the whole apple core, especially if he was in the car, so that there wasn't the trash. And it's the most horse-like thing I think he's ever done, but it was interesting. And it reminds me that you can eat the apple core if you need to. That's not true for all things. You should make sure if you're going to eat the core of something that it's actually possible to. If something has a pit, don't ever eat the pit. And don't eat pineapple core. But apple core, it worked out okay. It's still not fun, in my opinion, but nobody's going to get sick from it. I don't think. Just don't eat it, just in case. All right. And now we can just mix it up. Oh, and it's so great. It's so colorful. Such a good thing. And then, if you want to make this, pack it away, then you can put it in containers like that and just have all the bits. And we're really lucky around here. We have a lot of farm stands that we can go to and get like completely fresh fruit. There are lots of people who don't have farms all around them, and then getting good fresh fruit is kind of hard for them. But down here, we are quite lucky. All right, the last thing I'm going to show you is a super peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I saw this online a really long time ago and I never did it for some reason, and it's amazing. So what you want to do is, not what I did, I messed it up. Oh well. What you want to do, you want to get a bunch of different jellies and peanut butters and all that type of stuff, as long as you're not allergic to any of it. And then you put 3 columns of whatever on each slice. So this is smooth peanut butter, and then lingonberry jelly, which is one of my favorites, and then chunky peanut butter. And then over here we have mint jelly and apricot jelly, and then in the middle is Nutella that I for some reason refrigerated, so it looks kind of funny, but it's regular Nutella. And what you want to do is, I should have done vertical this way and horizontal this way, but I forgot, so I'm just gonna smush them together so that the lines are going different directions. Ta-da! And the bread's kind of squarish, so it fits fine. And then every bite that you take will be a slightly different flavor. So I'm not going to try and eat it right now because you don't want to watch me eat. But that's an interesting way to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches a little more exciting if you've been eating them a long time and want something new going on. And then it's also really great if you have a few jars of different kinds that just have a little bit left and it's not a full sandwich worth, then you can just kind of put that in there. All right, is that everything? That is everything. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed seeing making food. You probably heard of all these things before, but you know, a nice reminder about doing them is always nice, right? Yeah. All right, thank you so much for joining me. Bye.